Welcome back. Today I'm talking about the last miracle, which is miracle 12, that is recorded that Elisha did. I'm in 2 Kings chapter 8, so if you could turn there with me, 2 Kings 8. And we're hearing again about the Shunammite woman, whose son Elisha had raised from the dead. Now, this woman was warned by Elisha that there was going to be a famine, a 7-year famine. So her best thing to do will be to go and find somewhere else to live, another country. So she followed the prophet's advice, always a good thing to follow the advice of a prophet. And she went into the land of the Philistines for the duration of the famine. That's 2 Kings 8 verses 1 and 2. Now, obviously, while she was away, other people might have gone onto her land and claimed it and so on. So when she returned from the famine, she went to plead with the king for the return of her house and her land. That's a fairly normal thing to do. So miracle number 12, the outline of the miracle. The Shunammite woman had obeyed Elisha and gone into a foreign land, now wanting to take her house back. That's just what I've been saying. Secondly, but on her visit to the king, at the very moment Gehazi, Elisha's servant, was chatting with the king. He was saying to Gehazi, "Come on, you're his servant. You know some of these wonderful miracles that Elisha has been doing, and tell me about them. I'd love to hear the details of them." And Elisha had done many miracles, but Gehazi happened to choose the miracle of the raising of the Shunammite woman's son. And he was explaining this miracle to the king, and at that moment he turned around and said, "My lord, O king, this is the woman, and this is her son, whom Elisha brought back to life." 2 Kings 8 verse 5. Just as he was explaining the miracle, the woman arrived. Right place, right time. So the king turned to the woman and verified the story and said, "Is this true, what Gehazi has said?" And she said, "Yes, this is my son. He was dead and Elisha raised him from the dead." So after he'd verified the story, the king gave a decree, an order to one of his servants, and he said, "Listen, restore to this woman, make sure it happens, restore to her all that was hers and all the fruits of the field since the day she left it until now." Wow. She lost nothing. That's in 2 Kings 8 and verse 6. Because her appeal to the king was at the correct, exact moment that the king had heard about his son being raised from the dead, everything was restored. Now, I've got some really important scriptures. I call them my life scriptures, and this is one of them. Psalm 37, written by King David. He said in verse 23, "The steps of a righteous man are directed and established by the Lord, who busies himself with every step." Now imagine that. Father God has to run a universe, never mind a world. He's got all the stars and planets and universes to look after. And yet he takes the trouble to watch where I'm stepping. He busies himself with my every step. That is mind-blowing. And David also wrote in an earlier psalm, Psalm 31 and verse 15, he said, "My times are in your hands, and he delivers me from all my foes." So not only God directs our paths, he directs our time. He makes sure we're on the right path at the right time. Now, I'm on God's highway. Now, this is in this is in Isaiah 35. And I was in a school, 20 years in this school, and this school happened to choose for its slogan, so it was written on all the coats. The slogan was, "A highway should be there." And every time I looked at a blazer, I saw this, just in case I was going to forget. And on this highway, says in verse 8, Isaiah 35 and verse 8, it says, even simple ones and fools cannot lose their way. Well, I've been foolish quite a lot in my life. By God's grace, he's pulled me back onto that highway time after time. And he says, even simple ones and fools can't lose their way. Now think about these things. What amazing love God the Father has for us. Last Sunday, I decided to take my dogs on their daily walk. And a thought came to me, no, go the longer way round. They need more exercise. And there's a nice little wall there. You can sit down and enjoy the sun for a few minutes. So I thought, okay, I've not done that for about 4 months. Now, when I get a thought like that, I don't think, where does it come from? I just assume it's from God. So I took the longer route and I reached my little wall and I sat down with one dog on either side, wanting their treats. And then coming down the road, I saw a lady using hiking sticks. That's when you walk like this. And as she approached, I realised it was someone I knew. It was a Christian woman who had suffered a new attack of cancer. Now, I hadn't been that way for about 4 months, and I hadn't got really up-to-date information on this new problem that she was having. So we spoke for an hour, and then we walked back because we were going towards the same direction. I was in the right place. If I hadn't gone to that wall, I wouldn't have met her, and I wouldn't have updated myself with her situation and so on, so I could pray and invite her to come back and see us and so on. Right place at the right time. 2 days later, I was going down another track and I saw a man with an occult sign on his coat. And I said, you don't want to wear stuff like that. It attracts demons. And that simple comment resulted in me talking to him for an hour and going round to his house and realising his wife is in a really bad state and needs deliverance. As many who are led by the Spirit of God, they are sons of God. Romans 8:14. Do you know any better and more exciting and blessed way to live? There isn't any. God bless you. I'll see you soon.